You want to be recorded so badly. Fine. Statement of Liam Miller regarding his college theatre project. Statement given September 30th, 2008. Statement recorded May 29th, 2025. Audio recording by Arya Mace Luther, previously affiliated with the Magnus Institute, London. Statement begins. I didn't know this institute existed before today. Which is strange, considering it's totally up my alley with the whole supernatural stuff. But I'm not here to be some ghost-chasing fanboy or something. I'm a college student. I go to University of Warwick in Coventry. I'm about 3 years into my theatre arts degree, not for acting, but for constructing sets. I've never really been one for the spotlight, but I love making sets. My parents weren't the biggest fans of my choice of degree, thinking I was just wasting my money. But I ignored them. Maybe that'll screw me over now, but at the time I was one of those teenagers that thought my parents had no idea what they were talking about and just wanted me to do what they wanted. Which is still partially true, I guess. Let me get to the point. Every semester, the theatre department at Warwick puts on a production. The second semester of my second year, they decided to do Macbeth. It was earlier this year when they released the cast list, and I signed up to help with the sets and be on stage crew. It wasn't that hard for me to find a place back there. The set director loved my work in the previous productions I helped with. Behind the scenes was where all the true magic happens anyway. A few months into rehearsal and countless nights working on sets, the guy playing Macbeth ended up dropping out of the production, his understudy filling his place. Of course, rumors started flying around almost immediately. Some that the understudy had blackmailed him out of the role so he could have it instead. Others said he got diagnosed with some terminal illness. I personally thought it was stress. I knew the guy, Sean Harper. He was in his final year, so I assumed it was either that or to focus on his studies and finals. I love building the sets, but painting was always a sore spot for me. So many small details I just don't have the patience for. I did the base coats for most stuff, but some of the other members of the stage crew took care of the minute details. It was around the time some things started to go missing. You're probably aware of the Macbeth curse, but if you're not, I'll explain. It was thought that when Shakespeare wrote Macbeth, he used the actual witch spells for the witches. Apparently, this made some witches mad and they supposedly cursed the play itself. Whenever Macbeth is performed, or when it's said in theatre, bad things happen. I'm not superstitious type, but I've always been a strong believer in the Macbeth curse, especially after what happened this time. At first, it was small things. Scarf, a few paintbrushes, stuff we could easily replace. But soon enough, that turned to Macbeth's backup swords, Lady Macbeth's crown, and, oddly, every pair of trousers in the costume collection. Paint seemed to disappear a lot, too. Gallons at a time, it just vanished from our stores. I tried bringing the issue up to the set director. We just kept brushing it off, as if we didn't have a budget to stick to. At the time, I thought he was just trying to play it cool, pretending like everything was alright because of the whole Macbeth thing. I should probably tell you about the stage director. His name is Mark Weller. Chinese guy. Pretty alright, dude. Very superstitious. You know, type guy throws salt over his shoulder if he knocked the shaker over and would cancel any rehearsals that landed on Friday the 13th. At times, it seemed to verge on paranoia, but that was rare. I remember back when I was a freshman, the first production I worked on with him, he refused to let us build a set with the plywood shipment that we got, because the order number was 4444. Made us get a whole new shipment and forbade us from even keeping the old one in the building. Granted, a few weeks after the show finished, we found out there was a recall on that order, but how could he have known that? A week or two before opening night, I ended up staying back late in the theatre building, wanting to finish up fixing one of the sets. The guy playing Banquo accidentally kicked one of the stairs during rehearsals and busted it up. I had a bit of a leg up on everyone else when it came to working with wood, due to constantly working with my dad in his renovation business growing up. The job was a cakewalk for me, only taking about 30 minutes to fix up, mainly because whoever had built it the first time used far more screws than necessary when securing the top, and I had to undo most of them to pop it off enough to fix. After that, I started priming it with the last bit of white paint, but there wasn't enough left in the can to coat the whole stem. as seemingly repeated fashion in the production. Couldn't find any other paint, so I decided to start searching through the building for it. Maybe someone had been coming in and stealing it to pull a prank on us, stuff like that. People can be immature. I got through the building rather quickly. It wasn't huge, most of the space being an actual theater, and I couldn't find anything. I thought I exhausted all my options until I saw the basement door. Before it was a theater building, it was used for admissions, and the basement had been used to hold all the files before they came up with a more efficient filing system, and didn't need all of the space. Usually, the space was locked, as there was nothing down there, but I tested the doorknob anyway, just in case someone decided to pick the lock and get sneaky about it. Sure enough, the door swung open, the squeaking hinges echoing through the empty hall. The stairs were pretty sturdy, all things considered. The type of wood stairs that didn't have backing to them, like the ones you find in unfinished basements. That type. The walls and floor were made of concrete, the space clearly not finished, even though all of its years of use. I thought I heard scurrying when I reached the bottom of the stairs, but it stopped almost as soon as I turned my head. It took a few moments to find the light switch on the wall, and a bit longer for the lights to actually turn on, the electric buzzing from the dim overhead lights filling the large space. What I saw made it feel like my shoes had been glued to the concrete floor. I'd found the paint all right. The paint, the set director, and Sean Harper. I thought people had been exaggerating when they said that Sean had practically disappeared from campus, just feeding into the rumors because he had nothing better to do. But the way his eyes were sunken in and how his skin seemed to be tighter around his bones, I don't think they were. He was missing his shirt, and spirals of paint were painted all over him, colorful lines crisscrossing over his chest, neck, and face like webs. His eyes were glazed over, unblinking, as if he wasn't fully there, but his chest still rose with every breath. What looked to be string was wrapped around his wrists, stretching his arms out and connected to the ceiling. Seemed to be shinier than string, though, and thicker. The set director was next to him, his hands soaked in the paint. The same string dripped from his wrists in colorful strands, but I couldn't find where it was tied to him. In retrospect, I think it was coming from him. I still don't really understand it. Part of me expected the set director to say something, either a shout or something really cryptic and vague, but he just stared at me, his face blank. He knew I was there, but I think some part of him didn't fully register it. Either that or he was waiting for me to leave. I didn't need to be told twice. I bolted back up the stairs, my foot getting caught on one of the steps, almost making me bash my face into the wood. Didn't turn off the lights, and I slammed the door shut behind me once I got up, the sound echoing through the hall. I got out of there as fast as I could. I didn't show up to the theater building the next day, or attend any of my classes. I could barely manage to get out of bed. I ended up telling my roommate I was sick, which was enough for him to leave me alone and vacate the dorm to go to whatever lectures he had that day. I never went back there. Nobody asked why. They didn't even seem to notice my absence. Macbeth had its opening night 2 weeks later. One of the support beams on the set broke under weight, and the girl playing Lady Macbeth almost broke her leg. I saw her walking around campus with a knee brace after that. For the rest of the nights, they didn't use that set piece. Her understudy took over the role, and everything seemed to be fine. I never saw Sean after that, either. I don't think I would have wanted to, seeing how his eyes looked almost dead. Maybe my parents were right. Being a theater major might not have been the best idea. I'll have to see if any of my credits transfer over to a different course of study. Statement ends. I'll admit my fondness for Shakespeare and Macbeth might be clouding my judgment, but this seems to be, less intense, I guess. At least to me. I don't know if that... I don't know. The web is always unpredictable, anyways. I don't think Sean Harper is still alive. Even if he did survive that, this was over 10 years ago. So, yeah. End recording.